Hello there. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone who's watching us. And today we have one more episode of our program, Consciousness in Evolution. Uh, our main objective in this program is to discuss, to debate, and present to you some essential concepts and topics about conscienciology. And our topic today is going to be existential program, also known as Proexis. That is a new word, a new term of conscienciology. And we are also going to talk about life purpose and the reciprocation formula. And we have two very special guests to discuss this topic with us. And they are from Apex International. So I'm going to call Marcelo Pires. I'm going to introduce Marcelo to you. Marcelo is an instructor from Apex. He is graduated in metallurgical engineering from Federal University of Rio de Janeiro and a master in sciences in mechanical engineer from Unesp, São Paulo, Brazil. He first knew about conscienciology in 1991 through the Institute of Projectiology in Rio de Janeiro. He currently lives in the USA and volunteers at ISIC and Apex. He is a Penta practitioner since 2008 and conscienciological teacher at Apex since 2020. He's also coordinator of the Apex International team and the Proexis Cycle. Welcome, Marcelo.
Thank you, Eliane. That's a pleasure to be here.
Great. And let's call our second guest, that is Helen Matus. Helen Matus was born in Rio de Janeiro and lives in the United States since 1999. She is an anthropologist and archaeologist and studied film at Full Sail University in Florida, specializing in documentary films and film editing. She has been a researcher in conscienciology since 1997 at IIPC's headquarters in Rio de Janeiro. She's a Penta practitioner since 2019 and a teacher at Apex since 2021. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So, people, I was thinking about existential program. That is a very important concept within the science of the consciousness, conscienciology. And we can say that many of us have this purpose of life. Is it the same to talk about existential program and purpose of life?
Yeah, there is some small difference on it, Eliane. Well, everybody could have a purpose in life or purpose of life, okay? Because it's something special that the person starts to develop during their lives and exploring it to give a sense to their existence. When you're talking about existential program, we are talking or ProX, we are talking about, and we start considering the consciential paradigm. And then as part of the consciential paradigm, one important aspect is that the ProX, it was established before we reborn or acquire this new soma or physical body that we have. Okay, so it is intersistential activities that we develop, that we plan with more evolved consciousness prior to our current lives. And then we start looking for it to prepare ourselves to identify what are the main aspects of our ProX, and then starting realizing it, fulfilling it through the lives.
Okay, so let me check if I understood clearly. So, purpose in life, anybody can have one. For example, I have a purpose in life to, I don't know, to buy a car, for example, to buy a specific car and to make a trip around Brazil with that car. That's my purpose in life. But Proexis is something bigger, broader, I would say more serious. That demands more commitment. Is it correct to think this way
Yeah,
in terms of?
it's correct, and I would add that we also it's a teamwork. We do not plan to do something solo, like I'm going to travel around the United States, or I'm going to develop a particular research of study. That's something that, or a task, a specific task that you start to develop that also has a cooperation of other consciousness, other people that came and then going into the same direction. Could be something related to education, could be something related to multidimensional clarification or any other subject. But that's besides being organized before the current life, it's also something that you plan to do with a group.
Okay, so in this, inside this, the consciential paradigm that is
Yes.
multidimensional, holosomatic, universalistic, cosmoethic. So this is the proexis, we can say.
In a short sense, it is. Okay.
Okay.
Ellie, would like to add something here?
Yeah, and there is also a difference in the English language. We in conscienciology we refer to purpose in life as purpose of life, and it's intentional. Because as Marcelo said, purpose in life, and Eliane, you also explained it beautifully. Purpose in life, it can be anything, and it's in terms of in the intraphysical concepts, intraphysical wish that a person has. But the purpose of life will actually incorporate this transcendental aspect of the proexis. So in my own self explanation, it is like this: you have the purpose in life, the vulgar term for everybody, the purpose of life, our intentions and our plans here in the interphysical dimension, and the proexis, that is our planning. And we bring it from the extra physical dimension before we were born. So the proexis and the purpose of life are interconnected.
Okay, very good. And do let's say, do we all have a proexis, or only the ones who have been to intermissive courses? That is, let me clarify. Intermissive courses are the courses that we take, some of us take, between two lives, okay, between two intraphysical lives, when we are in the extra physical dimension. So we might be invited to go into a course that we call intermissive course, in which we are going to take some subjects for us to have a better performance in a future life on planet Earth, for example. And in during that, we program our proexis. My question is, do we all have, we can, any one of us can have a
Correct.
proexis, go to an intermissive course?
Well, Eliane, according to our studies and our observations, not everybody has a proexis, although anybody can have a purpose in life. And anybody can have even a purpose of life. Okay, so that means that in order to study proexology, to study about conscienciology, you don't have to be intermissivist. If you feel that it makes sense to you, and even if you didn't go to an intermissive course, that's wonderful. We're open to everybody. Although if you are intermissivist and you went to an intermissive course like you mentioned, then you have a proexis for sure. And that is where our conversation today will help us to grasp how to identify, how to know if we actually have a proexis or not.
And then just to add something, talking about the prerequisite, since not everyone has access today, that's something that in our studies that's relatively new. That's something that started between 19th and 20th century. But the point is to be able to participate on the intensive course, you need to go some prerequisites. You need to have a minimal level of cosmetics. You need to have a minimal level of interest on helping the others on interest systems. And one important thing, you need to be able to have lucidity while you are on this course. So the consciousness that did not went through, if you're thinking about the holosoma that was talked before in some of all these presentations that we have here in consciousness and evolution, we have several bodies, like the soma, that's the human body, the ergosoma, that's the like the chakras, and they have psychosoma, that's the emotional body, and mental soma, that's for the ideas. So the person should be able to have the minimal level of lucidity to participate on the intensive course needs on the previous life not only to discard or deactivate the soma, but also to deactivate their negosoma. So without it, the consciousness will not have the conditions to follow the class. Okay, so,
Okay, Marcelo. So that's what we call second death.
yes.
Person has to go through the second death. That is the discharge of the energosoma.
Yeah, that's other requirement to be able to participate on the intensive course, and on this way, you can start planning what will be your existential program or ProEx.
Very good. Helen?
Yes. Yes, that's perfect. I mean, when I was thinking about this topic today, and now, of course, when we start to think about what we are going to say, we are going to talk, we start to try to apply that concept to ourselves, right? In conscienciology, that's very common that we try to help do our own self research. So I was actually thinking of ways to analyze and to detect if I am in the right course or not. So this that we are talking about now, about the difference between having an intermissive course or not having an intermissive course, that's key to what we are or talking about today, because there are some some hints, some clues that we can get from life itself to tell us, am I in the right course? How am I feeling? Because the Proexis, the existential program, according to what we've been studying so far, it is something that gives us a well-being, gives us that sense of happiness, inner happiness. You know, not like I have a car. I finally bought that car that I've been wanting to buy for so long. That's momentaneous. That's temporary. The happiness that we feel about being in our proexis is something that stays with us most of the time. And that's the difference between someone that is not actually in the right course, which sometimes can feel the existential emptiness, or can feel that profound sadness, even having material things, and that person is not very happy. That's there are some temporary feelings of happiness, but the person itself is not actually feeling accomplished. You know, I have that dream job, I have that dream car, I have the dream house, I have my relatives around me all the time, but still I'm not complete. I'm not a whole person.
I do understand what you're saying, Helen. I'll bring my personal experience because it happened to me. Before I knew conscienciology, I was in a moment in my life that everything was kind of very well, and in terms of job, in terms of relatives around, friends, but there was something that was missing. I was not happy deeply inside. There is something was wrong, and I didn't know why. And then I felt that sensation of emptiness. And when I started studying conscientiology, and I went to some lectures and I took some classes, and people brought this concept of existential program, something that we have to do, that we agreed it in a sometime in an intermissive course, and it this work that is supposed to be done in groups. That would be our Proexis, our group Proexis. And then I identified myself with that, although I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I had the sensation. I When I got the understood the concept, I thought, well, that's great. It's this way, but what am I supposed to do? So I want you to comment also. How can we find this way, the correct path to discover what we are supposed to do here?
That's the biggest question, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is. And then I think that everyone went through it because nobody will give you an envelope that you open and you're going to find everything written inside. You are going to have a lot of self-research. You need to check your characteristics, okay? You need to review your events of life and so on. And then some moments you may even have retrocognitions talking about or remembering what was happening during that period of the intermissive course to understand what you're supposed to do. But most of the times you need to look for your qualities or strong traits, your weakness or weak traits, and then the traits that are absent and so on, and then what you received during the life. So to do it in Apex and in Conscientiology, we organize some different techniques to explore this and in a better way to try to understand how and what's my proex and how can I get a better understanding of that. And one important thing to mention is that nothing is really covered in stone. Okay, you typically have some leverage because thinking about when you try to plan a trip, okay, well, you're going there, you may have a delay on the flight or the bus, or you have a construction in the middle of the way that you need to take a detour, but you know that you're going from a city A to a city B. But imagine how much more complex is when before you're born or reborn. Okay, resomate, like we call it in conscientiology, you got a new soma. Well, that you start to plan what you're going to have, the big key milestones that you need to achieve, the key inner recycling that you need to do during your life. So imagine how many different things could happen during it. So there are always some alternatives that you can, up to some moments, keep going. But really, really,
So,
it's important to understand what your main guidelines of your proex. That's and then there is some techniques, some methods that help to identify them.
Yeah.
there are some flexibility then that we are going to discover during life.
Yes, up to some level, you may have some slack on your plan because you consider it like probably you already considered some of the counterflows, obstacles that you may find in front of you. But yeah, there is some items that you really need to be sure. Don't leave it to the last moment. Don't be that student that on the previous night tried to study 3 months of content.
Yes,
But
I
look,
can imagine.
that's, oh, sorry.
Go
But
ahead.
No,
this is
I'm thinking
this is
about the
why
world
it's
itself.
uh,
So many things happening that we didn't
Yeah.
even imagine, pandemics and then war, everything together. We didn't plan that in the intermissive course for sure, but it happened.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
talking about the adaptability, right? There are some the rational laws of the proexis, and one of them is the adaptability. You can, if you have some circumstances that are not up to you to actually decide if they're going to happen or not now, some of unforeseen occurrences in your life, then yes, you can adapt, of course. For instance, there is a friend of ours that was developing his Proexis overseas in Europe. And then the place where he was actually developing his Proexis, doing, teaching and writing, doing research with them, that institution was no longer available to him. So he had choices, he had to decide, do I stay here? Do I go back to Brazil and go back to my previous group, the group where I was uh, studying with and developing courses? Then he decided to go back to Brazil. So that's adaptability. He adapted and he didn't develop that portion of his proaxis overseas. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have to do anything internationally, he still can. But he decided to move back to Brazil and develop some aspects of his proaxis there with that previous group. So yes, you're right. There is the some level of adaptability and flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah,
The, I think that one of the things that as Marcelo said it beautifully. Yes, we have a lot of techniques. We have some tools to identify and to have some kind of directive and guidance in order to find what our proexis is about. And it's like, first I would like to mention the book, the Proexis manual. And the book, I mean, we can get a lot of tools, a lot of hints and techniques out of the book. And we also at Apex we have several courses. One is actually coming up soon, the Proexis Cycle, so we are going to deepen this aspect. But
very
today, the about the reciprocation, personal reciprocation formula, one of the things that calls my attention the most is that in all the areas of the proaxis, so we can have the financial aspect or area, we can have our group karmic, which is our the karmic group we are part of, right? It can be school, it can be work, family, or the extra physical area, how my parapsychism is going. So they all have key questions that we can ask to ourselves. And in this case here specifically, the key question that we bring up is, I wrote it down here. Okay, have I paid back what I have received in the school of earth? That's a question that I got from the book. And that's the question that relates mostly to the reciprocation formula. Am I
yeah.
paying back everything good that I'm receiving from life? And that is directly connected with the existential emptiness as well. Because if I'm receiving a lot of resources or existential contributions, it can be from extra physical helpers or those benevolent, the benevolent consciousnesses that are helping and or helping the planet, not just us. But am I uh, giving back if I received maybe some money to go to school from someone, or if even a love and affection from my parents, so I could actually move along and develop my personality in order to go and find my proexes? So, in what level am I giving back to what I'm
Very
receiving?
good. Ellen, so that's what I want to explore. That's our main theme today. It's this personal reciprocation formula. That's very interesting for us to present that to our viewers. because when we talk about all the contributions we've got in life, all the resources, experiences, and we can list a lot of them. We can mention many. For example, if we are health, we have a health body. That's a great resource we've got. If we have a home, a family, and sometimes people don't care very much about it. They say, well, I have enters in kind of victimization. Well, I have nothing and I wanted to have that and that and I don't. But people don't see how much they've got during the whole lives. As you mentioned, with friends, with the in family, friends from school, and all our relationship, we learn a lot from them. And you were mentioning that this formula has, it's a balance between everything we've got and everything we gave back to life.
Mhm.
So that's I want you to explore a little bit more.
This is one way, right? There are other ways, guys. We are talking about one today.
Yeah.
Marcelo, go ahead.
And then when you think about the Proex, it's related to assistance. So it's more about giving back rather than asking for. And then considering this, the reciprocation formula, it's a way, a method to understand how much you're doing on your Proex, because you look to the different, as you mentioned, Eliane, the different aspects of your life. Could be family, could be friends, could be professional. And then what have I received as existential contributions to develop myself in that particular field, or to make like give my conditions to keep going on that particular field and overall my life. And then, well, what are the okay retributions that I'm giving, the reciprocation that I'm giving to that particular fields. For example, I can give an example. I think that's good always to have some examples, like professional field. During my life, okay, I had like the engineering study, it's a kind of hard skills, and then on the company that I worked for several years, I had opportunities to learn about continuous improvement and quality disciplines. And then, well, perfect. So it was a contribution that I got from the work environment, from the professional field. So how can I not only use that skills, that knowledge to help the company that I work for, because that's my way of living, to get better. But also, how much can I use of these disciplines in a NGO that's non-profit, like a consensus-centric institution, and help the group to get better, to organize better, and on this way, as a group, being able to provide assistance for more people, to do clarification for more people about the ideas of conscientiology, for example. So for me, it's the moment that I got on red because I received more than I'm giving back. And the moment that I start on the consciential-centric institutions that I volunteer with, I can start in giving back, giving suggestions, talking about this, challenging people about some situations that I coming out from the negative to the neutral and going to the positive on this particular field. And then I can do the same analysis in several different fields, and you can do it too, and people
Yeah,
that at home can do it.
you mentioning that is so interesting because I remembered I also worked for big companies and I learned a lot from them. And after when I entered as a volunteer, when I started as a volunteer in conscientiology, I used all the knowledge I acquired in these companies. And for example, I started working in the marketing department of IIPC, Consensus Centric Institution, located in Curitiba, and I started working in contacts with the press to divulge our courses and activities. And that was something that I learned from the company I worked for, from one of the companies. So it's very interesting. And today I work a lot with translation and stuff, and I produce some dictionaries inside conscientiology. And that's something I got from my university, because I studied English language and literature and also translation. So it makes sense if we start seeing what we got, and we will feel much better if we start giving it back, either to the conscientiocentric institution, to society, to our friends, to do what we call interassistance, because we are very much helped as well.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
that, go ahead, Marcelo.
No, I just want to make a quick comment about this term interassistance and not assistance. Okay, because sometimes when people talk about giving assistance to the others, some people can feel like in a superiority over the other people. Okay, and then when you talk about interassistance, it means that hey, you are helping the others, but doesn't mean that you are better than the others. Okay, you are interact, you know something that the other can help, it will be useful for the other, but also the other has some skills that you can learn from it. So it's really a more equal relation rather than somebody that's on a higher position. Oh, I'm coming here to help you. So that's a completely different mindset and the interactions when you're talking about like multidimensionality, for example, because we are in a fair field here. Just I heard it from Malu Balona once, and I
Yeah,
love that
very
explanation.
good. I very good. If you excuse me just for some second, I wanted to put here. We have some questions. Let me see here. A lot of people. We have here Adriana Pires.
Yep, I know her.
Hi,
Also have
Adriana.
Denise Tonier.
Denise.
Adriana and Denise. Denise, hello guys. Great
Denise.
live. And we have also Andrea Chatalov. Hi guys,
Hi,
congratulations.
Andrea.
Thank you.
We're
Hi.
following. Thanks, Andrea. Ana Lu Galotti.
Ana
Hello, guys.
Lu.
Ana Lu and Losh from Foz. It's nice to hear about the existential program. It's always nice
Hey,
and very
guys.
important as well. And Loshi. Hello,
Oh,
Loshi.
Yep.
hello.
Eliane. Hello, teachers.
Hi, Eliane.
We also have a question from Leonardo Borges. Leonardo Borges. Hi, everybody. Would you enlighten me about the concept of critical life and the concept of turnaround life related with the concept of autoproexis?
Cool. Good question.
Oh,
What is a
Leonardo.
critical life?
Well, there are always that particular life that's critical in our existence because that's the moment that we can make the best of our time and moving from the self mimicry that we have from previous existence and working more in a assistential and more in an evolutionary way. Okay,
Very good.
so it could be something that you change on your behavior, and then I'm going to share one retrocognition that had about critical life that I had during the consecutivos. That's a CI that works with Series X or series of existence, and then when I was doing that, participate on that forum, in the middle of the forum, I had a retrocognition related to a life that I had in Europe, where it was like Middle Ages. And during that period of time, there was a plague. I cannot say which one of the plagues. It was somewhere around Romania, that region there in the East Europe. And then the population wanted to lynch, to kill the Jews because they were not getting sick. And then I remember that I got the recollection that, hey, I came to the group and I said, let me talk with them. Probably they are doing something that do not make them sick. And then I went there, talked with their patriarch, and he said, yes, it's simple what you do. We can teach you everything. And then, okay, I'm going to out and I'm going to tell the group that to stop any violence. And then, well, what happened is that they kept going the violence and they took fire on the place where you were with me inside too. But it's a kind of the moment that you move from being like a person that it's making harm to other groups, okay, and you start to look and trying to understand and oh, let me help and bridge it like that. So it is very key when you think about anti-Semitism. And then I consider that one when talking about going against anti-Semitism, for me, a critical life. Okay. And then
And a very strong retrocognition.
yeah, and it was in a very strong environment field that we got on that particular forum. But it was very helpful for me because it helped me to understand a couple of
Yeah,
things in the current life.
very important for self-research, self-knowledge, and
So
Brexit to see which the line, the path that you have to work in this life.
yeah, and then there is always that critical life. That's that life that you can like make evolve more in that particular life than like a 3 5 different lives before. So that's a moment that you can use to accelerate, to change something that it's holding you, that's dragging you, and keep on going.
Okay. And do you understand the second part of Leonardo's questions? The concept of turnaround life. Leonardo, maybe I don't catch very well this concept.
Yeah,
That I think it's more or less the same as critical life. It's that life that you really go a step further in the evolutionary scale. That you are trying to evolve, to become better.
yeah. I'm not sure also if I understood the concept of turnaround life, Leonardo, but one thing that reminds me that is um, a book from Flavia. I always remember her previous name. She now he's not Flavia
Flávia
Kusi.
Guzzi.
Yeah,
Flávia
but now
Guzzi.
it's Flavia was
Rojnik,
Hosnick.
Rojnik.
Yeah, sorry, Flavia, for that. But she presents a situation that it goes a little bit in the line of the existential emptiness that you have, and you are keep going with some behaviors that are like they are archaic. Okay, they supposed to be recycled already, and then she need really to turn the table, turn around her life, okay, and change several different things to go back to her Proexis. So I think that we always have when you have some we call it Proexis traps, okay, or Proexis deviations. There are from time to time some of them that some of them you really need to stop, and we need to make a lot of effort to go back to your track.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the approach that I have towards the critical life, and he explained down there that he means the vida da virada, or it's the turnaround life. I mean, that's what he said. And what I consider there is that this current life can actually be our critical life. And I understand the concept of a previous life where we were more open. We could actually be sent to intermissive course because of several aspects that are considered, that several variables. But the approach I'd like to bring here is also the qualification of our existential inner posture or positioning in life, you know. The qualification being that, or we go in, and then in proexology and in conscientiology in general, we have two concepts there to be analyzed. One is the clarity task, which is the clarification task, and the console task, consolation task. So as I see it in a previous life, my critical life, even though I was more open to go to an intermissive course, I don't, I mean, of course we don't believe in everything I'm saying here right now. If it is my hypothesis that my knowledge towards the clarification task was not as qualified as it is now. So, and the difference between the qualification I put on my own Proexis, my own life now, and then is exactly between the console task and the clarity task. The consolation task, the how can I identify if I am doing the console task? Console task is more, you are more you
Nice.
have you yeah, you're more worried about what people think about you, the return that you get from that task, and it's more evident in certain religious groups or um, everywhere in our society we can see the consult task. So for instance, I am a volunteer here with an institution, in a local institution, and it's a church. And I volunteer there doing translations for a Spanish group of people. And I cannot go beyond what is expected from me there. You see, I cannot bring up all the concepts that and all the theories and all the hypotheses that I have towards multi-existential lives, towards multidimensional aspects of my life. I cannot go beyond that. I cannot approach that fully. So it's
Mm.
more the consult task, and
Yeah, the task is more immediate for a need
it
in that
is.
moment,
I,
and it's nicer, it's more pleasant
You're
for the
pleasing people.
yeah,
You please people. They please you back, and don't move beyond that. The clarity task, which is what we are trying to do here today. I'm not saying we are doing it. We are trying
you're
to.
really trying to. Mhm.
Yeah.
we are doing it.
But the clarity test may not be very pleasing to some people, or some moments. Maybe a person who is going through some problems or whatever it is may not be as pleasing, because we are exposing facts. We are bringing out some type of solutions for the problems that may require more work from that person.
And more responsibility as well.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing that I like is the comparison, the parallel with console task and clarification task with fishing. Okay, like console task, you're going to give the fish to the people, and people start to depend on you. Clarification task, you're going to teach the people how to fish.
Yes,
That's the
perfect.
same. That's the same. What we are doing, like, would be very easy to help the people and tell the people, hey, just do this or just do that, or when you need it. So I come and I'm going to help you. It's more like a guru or religious approach. Okay, it's a matter of creating a dependence sometimes. And clarity task, we want more and more people to be autonomous and to learn and to understand, for example, how the multidimensionality works. How is the process of a series of existence? How is the parapsychons? How it works? Okay, how can I plan well my life here to get the better usage of the 70 or 80 or whatever years that you have in this life to evolve more? So, and how we create a more healthy relation with everyone that's around us. And that's, I think that's the
That's it. Very
important
good.
points.
Well, yes, and so we can see that what can we give as a reciprocation to society? As Ellen mentioned something, she mentioned clarification task, that is clarity task, just cons.
Just cons, yes. What we are doing here right now, we are bringing up some topics that are straight from research, from other researchers in conscienciology. And then we read their publications. We can read a book. You can have a mega GESCON, which is the mega publication, the mega book from someone. And these are ways for you to give back in a claritask way, not only, as Marcelo said, not only giving the answers, but actually bringing up more questions about the topics and trying to come together with the group of researchers about the topics.
Yeah,
Very good. Yeah, Marcelo.
and, and then thinking about consensual paradigm, okay, we as we start to develop our own research and we publish it, other people can read, think, and develop even
Dispute.
better research on the top of it, or try what you did, or doing something different and propose something that will be even better. So that's how the science evolves. The science evolves from debates, from discussions, and the moment that also we leave them in writing, so we can also have access to them even in future lives.
Yes, so we are talking about two things that are very, very important and challenging. That is to do the clarification task, to teach conscienciology, to teach this leading edge relative truth, and also to write consciential gestations, that is written work. It's challenging because written, usually people like to talk. Talk is easier, but writing, sitting down and writing something to publish is challenging, but it's very important. And it can also work for us as a retro password in our future lives. If we access the things we had written, it can help us a lot.
And there are several other ways as well in conscienciology, like volunteering in an institution, or there are several other tasks that we can actually implement in our Proexis, but we don't have enough time now to go
Yeah.
over all of them. So,
Talk about just cons. I just want to give one example. That's the Encyclopedia of Conscienciology that has thousands of entries from different authors. Okay, Dr. Valdo Vieira, that was the founder of the science, started this encyclopedia, and now several people is also publishing daily new verbetes. And one verbete that's very well linked to this subject, that's reciprocation formula, is the one that's the existential contribution. In Portuguese, aporte existencial. Like Laenio Losch, that was the author of this one, if I'm not wrong, uh, put
Yes.
like 100 possible existential contributions that we may have. And sometimes are things that you don't think that would be existential contribution. That would be inputs that we receive, and then you need to consider how you are giving back about it. Like things like friendships, okay, medical assistance, even a toy that you get when you're a kid, a toy that
A
makes
pet.
you think about the profession that it was what you planned before. So it's like 100. So it's a lot of effort. It's a serious work on people that are volunteering, that it doesn't get any financial benefit from it. And the idea is to share the science, share the ideas, so we can have more people going out from the traditional cycle of the lives in a way that you go and work more in a more evolutionary way.
Very good.
yeah.
Um, guys, I have another question here, very interesting, from Cynthia Cardozo. Hi, guys. Could you talk about the importance of projection of the consciousness for the existential program?
Hi, Cynthia. Yes, very good. That's question because it's and I can actually connect that question to what we are talking about here, the reciprocation that Marcelo was saying before. The one other aspect of the consolation task is that besides not being able to bring to go beyond those aspects that I mentioned before, we can also go beyond that group of people that we are trying to help. So the group karmality, we are restricted to the group karmality, to the group karma. When we approach the clarity task, and remember, clarity task can be actually done in any dimension. It doesn't have to be in the intraphysical dimension only. So that's where I'm going to make the connection there with her question. There are some Penta practitioners, like for instance, Penta is a technique that we actually bring this technique from the intermissive course, and some of us intermissivists have that technique incorporated in our Proexis, and we separate a period of time during the day, and in that period of time, we are donating energies to the extra physical. And we might have some projected consigns or people visiting as well. But it's towards the polykarmality. We are actually reaching the polykarma, people that we don't even know, because we are not in charge of this technique. Who is in charge of this technique is the extra-physical helper, which is the benevolent, the more advanced consciousness that is in the extra-physical dimension. So some Penta practitioners, and after a few years, they actually even start to project themselves to, or have extra out of body experiences during their Penta practice, and they are more aware of the extra physical environment or the other dimension and things. Well, even not being a Penta practitioner, some of us actually have this experience, and we can actually have a mental target when we are having our out of body experience, to find clues, to find hints, to go back to our intermissive course or classes and try to identify some aspects of our Proexis.
I would like just to interject in something here, Ellen, if you allow me. If you consider that existential program came from the period that we were before the current existence, that we are in the extra-physical, it's natural that a lot of our activities, and this will be unique for each consciousness, will take place again on the extra-physical. So you'll not be only on the intraphysical, but also in the extra-physical, like Ellen was mentioning here.
Very good. People, we are coming to the end of our life. We have some minutes, and I have two questions here that I would like to make you. But I want you to divulge the next course of Apex, and we also want to divulge our next course, Fundamentals. So, can you start with the divulging the cycle of Proexis? Is that the name of your course?
Proexis Cycle.
Proexis Cycle. Okay. So, Claudia, can you put the folder? Yes, this is the flyer.
Yeah, and then that's a course that starts in August 20. So it happens every other Saturday. We are going to have a simultaneous interpretation to English. Those are in 8 modules, 25 teachers, and then we go through questions like, what is existential program? What defines the exclusive content of each Proex? Ways to implement your existential program. Define a model to understand the functioning of your life. Techniques to identify your life purpose, your Proex. That's besides what you talked about, personal reciprocation formula today, we go with other techniques too. Averting and adjusting possible practice deviations, ways to manage your life aiming at existential success, and parameters to evaluate your evolutionary results in this life. So each module, it's one of these 8 key questions that we mentioned here, and then everyone is invited. Join us. It's a excellent course, and then we have a lot of good discussions on it about Prerequisite Cycle.
Very broad, very complete. Very good, people. So you are all invited. And well, I have some questions here. I don't know if we are going to have time to answer all, but I'll put some of them here. First of all, Anna Yogan is commenting on Viktor Frankl, author of the book Man's Search for Meaning, states that suffering can be tolerated as long as it has meaning. How this concept relates to personal reciprocation formula.
Well, that's a great book.
Don't know if you know.
Yeah,
you know. Great.
Yeah, that's a great book. Viktor Frankl, it's one of the reference that we have. That's from the traditional science. That's one of the researchers that got more close to what we talk as Proexis in conscientiology. And then I think that the key part here is that 2 things. One, nobody claims there is not such a Proexis that the intent is for suffering. Okay, this is a religious thought. Okay, but the moment that something goes wrong and people went through something adverse like the Second World War and the concentration camps, the people that overcome that difficult and challenging situation were the people that had the feeling that they had something special to do in their lives. Okay, they still need to give it back. And then I think that's the moment that you are going through a difficult situation, and then you feel that you haven't done what you need to do it, and then you just need to stand that and overcome that obstacles because you still need to have more time to do what's necessary to do, to
And
go
Marcelo,
to the positive.
I think that it relates to the personal reciprocation formula when you stop focusing on yourself as much as wanting things and expecting some kind of return from anybody or from life, and you focus on others. You focus on their well-being.
You're just reminding a passage of the book. Okay, one of the prisoners were thinking about committing suicide, and then went to Viktor Frankl asking, hey, okay, what's happening and this, I think about that, and then what I'm supposed to wait for life now. And then he invert the question, what the life supposed to expecting from you.
From you, yeah.
Okay, so what you need to give, okay, going from you to the others.
Very good. So people, we had a great talk here. Unfortunately, we are near the end.
Is it over? Oh.
It's over, amazingly, so fast. We have to have you back other times with us for us to discuss more things, more topics. Then I can see that you are good guys for debating things. You have a lot of information and to bring to our viewers. Very good. People, well, we have some comments here and I will go through them very fast. We have Denise's. I marked my like, mark your like. Okay, thank you, Denise. And Cynthia as well, thank you very much for the explanation. We thank you. Thanks for watching us. Simone Zanella, what's that? Wash your hands. Okay, that's good.
It's important, but I did not get that one.
And hello, guys, great live. Zanella is also giving his like, okay?
Eduardo.
And congratulations. Thank you,
Thanks.
guys. And I'm gonna ask Claudia's help to place to devote our course, our next fundamentals of consciousness evolution. People, this is unmissable. Don't miss this opportunity because it's an entry course that has 20 classes. Each class has 2 hours and a half in a total of 50 hours. And our next group is going to be Fridays and Saturdays. For São Paulo, it starts at 9 p.m. and finishes at 11:30 p.m. So it's a late course exactly because it's suitable for Australian time. Then in Vancouver, in Australia, it's going to be Saturdays and Sundays, but mornings, okay? For example, Sydney is going to be from 10 a.m. to 12:30. So it's a great opportunity and for you to learn about conscienciology and train your English, okay? So join us. It's going to be great to have you with us.
And
Very good.
Eliane,
And
just quick comment here. Our spread cycle is recorded. Okay, so if anybody from Australia wants to participate, it's too late for them. They can watch the recording too.
wow, that's very important, people. So you just subscribe and then you can watch it later because it's recorded. Very good. Wow, people. So I have to thank you very much. And it was great having you here. I'm sure these ideas are a great help for us to boost our evolution and reach what we call existential completism. Okay, that's all we have for today. I hope you subscribe in our channel and I hope you have enjoyed our live.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Eliane. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
Eliane.
us.
Thank you, Representation, for this opportunity to be here together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks
Thank you.
everyone who was here with us today.